All right, if you could please take your seats. We're going to go ahead and get things started here. Thank you. Yeah, watch your step. Thank you. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good morning. I want to thank you so much for being here on behalf of Hearts of Pine. I really want to welcome you to Cassidy Point if you've never been here. My name is Lisa Freitas, and I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing and Communications here for Hearts of Pine, and I'm going to be moderating today's conference. I really want to thank everybody who took the time out this morning to join us, elected officials, our partners, our community partners, our staff, and particularly the members of the media who took the time to come out and spend the morning with us and learn more about what we have in mind. When Hearts of Pine was founded, it was built around a simple idea that professional soccer in Maine could be about more than just 90 minutes on a field, more than just about watching soccer. It could bring people together, it could strengthen community, and it creates a sense of belonging. Over the past year, we have been very, very humbled by the response to that vision. From sold-out matches at Fitzpatrick to supporters who have embraced us from day one, you've really helped us build something special. Today, we're excited about the next chapter of that story. This morning, you'll hear from our founder and chief community officer, Gabe Hoffman-Johnson, our club president, Kevin Scholl, and Heart's founding partner, Jonathan Culley, who will share the vision for Cassidy Point and what today's announcement means for our club and for our community. Following the speaking portion of the program, we'll open the floor to questions from the media. We'll have all three speakers up here. We'll go ahead and take your questions at that time. I'll repeat them here at the podium, and we'll have our panel field those answers for you. Following that, we will open up for Hearts of Pine staff to escort members of the press for B-roll out to the point out here. But we do remind you that this is an active working site. So we want to make sure you stick with somebody who understands where the safe places are to go. We'll make sure you get out and get the footage that you need. So just make sure following that you stick around and find a Hearts of Pine staff. So it is my pleasure now to welcome Gabe to the podium.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I like to start these kinds of things with gratitude. Today is such a special day for the Soccer Club of Maine, so it only seems right to thank the people that helped us get here. I'm grateful for all the people that believed in me and this vision. So much gratitude for Jonathan and Catherine Coley, without whom none of this would be possible. A special thank you to the Hearts of Pine staff, the real rock stars that make the magic. It truly does take a village. Thank you to the City of Portland. with a special shout out to the Parks and Rec Department for all their work and support over the years. Thank you to all of our partners, and most importantly, thank you to the people of Maine. The way this state has rallied around this club over the past 2 years has been nothing short of extraordinary. There was this dream of professional soccer in Portland, a dream now well over 7 years in the making. My, how far we've come. This dream was always built on this vision of recognizing the true power of sport, the true power of soccer, with the goal of using our platform to contribute towards doing as much good as we possibly can in the city and state we call home. At the most foundational level, I believe in soccer for good. I believe in this game's ability to transform the lives of individuals, families, communities, this city, and this state. For me, this club has always been an invitation to be a part of something so much bigger than ourselves. But what excites me the most, and what is perhaps the most difficult to articulate, are the intangible social impacts it has had on this community, and just how far that goes beyond soccer. The sense of belonging and civic pride Mainers are finding in this club is an extension of our shared identity, and it's clear that this communal participation is transforming lives across our state. This club represents the connective tissue for all those who have their hearts in Maine. And this connectivity has incredibly powerful impacts on people's sense of vitality. That is why we are doing this. That is why this club exists, to bring people together and in doing so, contribute towards building a better Maine. Now, Hearts fans come in all shapes and sizes. We have season ticket holders in all 16 counties and supporter groups across America. But perhaps my favorite type of person in this Hearts community are the people that have fallen in love with this club that had no prior love of soccer or even sport. We hear, "This club saved my life," or "This is the best thing that has ever happened to me and my family." We hear, "I just moved to Maine, and this club makes me feel like I belong." To see this beautiful medium of soccer transforming lives around this community in places like Kennedy Park, or through our youth impact programming through the Hearts of Pine Foundation. To see all the joy around the grounds on a match day, or when people tell me, Hearts has become a part of my own mental health and self-care practice. These are the types of moments of immeasurable good that are both humbling and a reminder of the sheer potential that this organization can have here in our own backyard. I still remember that night in 2023, inside the chambers of the Portland City Hall, when we received unanimous approval for our lease agreement to play at Fitzpatrick Stadium. I'm fairly certain we set records for the amount of diversity and number of scarves in that room that night. A rare sight, to be sure. And when that vote came, we cheered, we celebrated, we may have broken decorum, but looking back now, that was just a sign of what is to come. That was the first proof of what this city was going to build together. Fast forward 3 years, we've put Maine firmly on the American soccer map. From being named America's buzziest new soccer team, Sports Center features, and jerseys shipped to all 50 states and around the world. With nearly 8,000 people on the season ticket wait list, a new women's team on the way with unprecedented levels of support, and now announcing our next chapter, the future home of the Soccer Club of Maine. It's with great pride that we've built this beacon of community soccer, and in doing so, shared the very best of Maine with the world. In case it's not clear, I've always been a bit of a big idea person. 7 years in, and the big ideas keep coming. As we step forward in this exciting new chapter, our focus remains, as it always will, on truly being this community's club, reflecting and representing our sense of place in everything we do. We built this community by giving Mainers something to love, something to believe in, a shared belief that soccer can and should be used for good, a unifying force. And each sold-out game is a testament to the community we're still growing. Today is about announcing our plans to build a permanent home that allows Hearts of Pine to grow responsibly alongside the community that has embraced it. Today represents the potential of what our soccer-crazed community can do. Up the Hearts. Good morning. My name is Kevin Troll, President of Hearts of Pine. Huge thank you to Gabe. His vision, of course, has made all this possible, but really it's the supporters and everybody else involved. Not just the supporters who pack Fitzpatrick every single game, and we love them. Some of them are here. But also all the supporters who support this team from afar, maybe who wear the merchandise every day or attend the watch parties, but haven't been able to get tickets at Fitzpatrick. It's tough. We hear this all the time from our fans. You know, the surveys that we take of our fans tell us a little bit about the game day experience, but a lot about how many people wish they could be part of that game day experience. And so we know that this demand is so much more than what Fitzy can handle, and that's a lot of why we're here today. With this project, we can build a permanent home for the club and make it possible for thousands more people to attend our games. This project will allow us to do so much more than that. We will be able to transform this site into a place that people can gather and run and walk their dog and grab a bite to eat all year round. But you know, really at the heart of it is the growth of this soccer club. Right now, we plan to build in the range of 9,000 to 11,000 seats. Huge growth over the 6,000 we have at Fitzy. Some would say that with the strong season ticket base we have and all the 8,000 people on the wait list, maybe we should build bigger. But I think for us, it's really about the intimacy, being able to prioritize that over the sheer size of the stadium. It's not really necessarily about how many people are there, but about the energy and how full it is and making sure we're building it right for the long term. You know, I've got a career in sports. I've been at many stadiums. When some sports teams around the country talk about new stadiums, they focus on the premium elements. How many corporate suites do you have? How are you monetizing that? What percentage of the building is premium seating? We haven't had any of those conversations, and we really think that that's the wrong way to approach a project like this, especially in soccer, and especially here in Portland, Maine. I don't want to give people the wrong impression. We do want people to have more leg room and seat backs and indoor plumbing instead of porta potties. There's plenty of things that we can do to improve the comforts of the stadium experience over Fitzy. But we know what makes this club special. It's the grassroots energy that you can feel buzzing as you walk around the stadium. It's about letting your kid go to the kid zone while you grab a beer and keep your eyes focused on the game. It's about walking around and seeing a dozen people that you know, even if you don't remember how you know them. That's what's special about Hearts of Pine matches, and at some of the best stadium experiences in the world, it's really about who's there and not just what the bricks and mortar are suggesting. You know, when you build a new stadium, you're not just transforming the land it sits on, from coals to goals, am I right? Yeah. It's not just about transforming the physical site. We are proposing in a massive way transformation of this site and opening up the waterfront to people who haven't been able to access through these gates over the past, 50 to 100 years, as far as I'm aware. These projects have a way of transforming the communities around them, and that's what we're proposing here. So at the new stadium, as you can see in the renderings, we want supporters to be even closer to the field, without a track separating them. We want there to be more capacity, and we want that supporter section, which is already the rowdiest and the best in the entire league, to be bigger and to have more room for people to go crazy. As much as we want to make these upgrades, we also want to replicate how important it is for transportation to be coming right past us as we play our games. The magic of Fitzpatrick has so much to do with the local food trucks, the beer gardens, the communal gathering spaces, and we want to preserve that and replicate it and recreate it at the new stadium. So much of what we want to learn from the community and from our fans is what's the right way to do that? What are the special elements that we need to port over to the new stadium? And even though we're planning to leave Fitzy far sooner than we ever originally expected,
This leap sets us up for the growth of soccer, for promotion relegation in our league, and sets us up for expanded possibilities for our new women's team. Beyond that, we want to be able to do more youth camps and clinics. That building right over there, we envision as an indoor soccer facility that can be used year-round, not just by our club, but by youth teams, adult rec teams, and others who have difficulty finding field space right now. And we want to do some other things that we can't do as part-time tenants at Fitzpatrick. We love the venue, we love what the Parks Department is able to offer us, but when we're there only, setting up and tearing down in the same day, it's hard for us to add energy to the site all year long. So here we'll be exploring the possibility of some limited food vending and retail to serve the people here in the neighborhood and to make this whole site more vibrant over the course of the year than it is today. That pier over there will still be part of the working waterfront. It's not part of the site plan that we have, so that'll remain as part of the working waterfront. And the rest of the site we think lines up really well to what the Portland's Plan 2030 suggests, with a mix of marine uses and non-marine uses, opening up the waterfront for community access and recreation. And we're proud to suggest and be part of that. So all of this represents a massive private investment in the city's future. It'll create jobs, economic activity, and it'll give us a permanent home that our supporters can rally around for decades. We want it to be a crown jewel for the city. We want it to transform this front porch as people come in on the airplanes and come in from the cars. We want to see that excitement for this site, and we want to show them the love that this community has for its team. In the meantime, we do fully remain committed to our current home and making sure that we deliver the best match day experience for our supporters who come every single game. That loyalty is the reason we're able to take this step today. And while we're dreaming big, we're also focused on delivering a great experience, including tomorrow and on Saturday at Fitzpatrick. So we got a busy week. Of course, a project of this scale does not happen overnight. There's a lot of work to be done, a lot of community engagement, design development. We'll be transparent as we move through this like we are today. We will listen, and we'll invite all of you to suggest what we can do to make sure that this stadium and the project around it is additive to what's here today. And to talk more about that, I'll introduce Jonathan Culley, who's very integral to our process as one of our founding partners, and who knows way more about real estate than I do. So come on up, Jonathan.
Thank you, Kevin. It's a small one. I'm Jonathan Culley. Catherine and I first met Gabe 7 years ago in 2019, and we were captivated by his vision for a new type of soccer club in Portland, but for the state of Maine. His vision was for a club committed to excellence, deeply rooted in community, with a philanthropic component, and designed to foster social connection. We joined Gabe and his family as founding partners and have worked behind the scenes ever since to support the mission. It was a long 6 years before our first match, but it was well worth the wait. Today, Hearts of Pine remains focused on winning championships on the pitch, creating great experiences for our supporters, and making a positive impact in the community. And today is an important moment in the advancement of each of these objectives. For us, like so many others, Hearts of Pine have become one of the great joys in our life. The positive energy that we see in the stadium and in the community is truly remarkable. The inaugural season was incredible in so many ways, but if there was one regret, it's that we couldn't welcome everybody who wanted to come to the stadium. While a permanent soccer stadium was always on the roadmap, the tremendous success of our first season caused us to accelerate the timeline. So towards the end of last season, we began to think seriously about a bigger, more inclusive stadium. Last October, we identified 14 potential sites in Greater Portland. There were sites in Westbrook, Scarborough, South Portland, and of course here in Portland. Though we are a club for all of Maine, we are the Portland Hearts of Pine, and we felt like an in-town setting was a critical part of our identity. We want as many people as possible to walk, bike, and ride transit to our matches, and so a site on Portland's peninsula became the highest priority. The urban energy and the festival-like atmosphere at Fitzy would be hard to create in the suburbs, and we can't lose that magic. Early in our search process, we were connected by Drew Sigfridson of the Bolus Company to David Glendon and Joe Ganex with Sprague Energy. And we began to talk about this site here at Cassidy Point. Cassidy Point quickly rose to the top of our list. This site's been largely used for fossil fuel storage for most of the past century. And so with the coal storage use now banned by the city of Portland, Sprague began looking for an owner to re-envision Cassidy Point for the next generation. After a complex negotiation, Hearts of Pine recently entered into a contract with Sprague to purchase this site and re-envision Cassidy Point as a sports and recreation campus. In addition to our stadium, we envision waterfront trails with public access. We intend to remove the gates and make Cassidy Point accessible to all, welcoming in neighbors, and creating some of the only shorefront access on the western part of Portland's peninsula. Catherine and I have spent the last 20 years developing real estate in Portland. So this project is squarely at the intersection of our life's work and our passion. And so we're pleased to be taking this massive step forward toward becoming the best small town, small market soccer club in America, toward winning championships, providing special moments for our fans, while dramatically improving this part of Portland for those who live here. As the real estate developers and the ownership group will be actively involved in the project. Should I rate? I'm going to rate. At some point, people might ask why this isn't a good site for housing. So Catherine and I will be actively involved in the project through our capacity as part owners of Hearts, but not related to our separate real estate company. I'll provide some specific details on the project. The current zoning for the site does not permit a stadium. We'll be seeking zoning map and text amendments from the city of Portland that will permit an open-air soccer stadium and other complementary uses. When and if we receive the necessary site zoning amendments, we'd be required to apply for a major site plan permit. This is where the city would review the project in consideration of things like traffic, parking, utility infrastructure, stormwater runoff, lighting, and more. Both the zoning and the site plan processes will have public hearings before the planning board and, in some cases, the city council, which will provide many options for public input. There are also state permits that we'll need, including those related to environmental compliance and traffic movements. Kevin mentioned that the site's 600-foot pier will remain as working waterfront. A marine user separate from Hearts of Pine will be utilizing the pier, and we're pleased to be co-locating with them. We'll have more to offer on that later. Hearts of Pine is committed to a robust and transparent public process with public engagement across many forums. While the city ordinance requires certain neighborhood meetings when applying for zoning and site plan permits, we'll go well beyond these requirements, hosting multiple public forums and town hall meetings. We will approach the process with humility and an understanding that the bar is high, as it should be for new development projects in Portland. The onus will be on us to demonstrate that the project is good for Portland and for the wider community. Parking will be a big question, and the general answer is that we expect to partner with nearby landowners and garages to provide event parking. We'll also be leaning heavily into the most progressive strategies to encourage walking, biking, and riding transit to our matches. Thank you. Thank you. We expect the entitlement and permitting process to take roughly 9 months. At the same time, we'll be developing plans and budgets for our stadium. So we would hope to begin construction in the summer of 2027 and open the season for our men's and women's teams here in 2029. The Hearts of Pines stadium improvements will be predominantly privately funded. That is the improvements on this site. However, we do expect to have conversations with the city, county, and state about required public infrastructure improvements in the surrounding area. We anticipate the total cost of the project to exceed $50 million. The stadium will occupy roughly 70% of this site, so roughly 7 or 8 acres. And we're contemplating other partners and complementary users that will provide year-round activation and contribute to placemaking at Cassidy Point. We have been and will continue to talk to potential partners who could join us here and enhance the overall experience. I think it'll be kind of fun during a match, yeah? Again, we're humbled to be here today, incredibly excited for what's to come. Thank you very much.
All right, now we would like to go ahead and open up this section for some questions from those of you from the press particularly. Yeah, you in the blue.
Perhaps regionally, Jonathan, are there contingencies in the sale? Should there be permitting delays, or what do you see as the things you really need to work on with the city to be able to make it all come together to zone for the stadium?
Yeah, anytime you enter into a contract to buy a property like this, there are a number of contingencies related to due diligence and permitting. As I said, we expect the permitting process to take roughly 9 months, give or take, but once you start that process, you don't know what's going to happen. Our goal is to be in the ground under construction in 12 months.
All right, can everyone hear in the back? I'm going to try and repeat the questions if you can. Okay, so everyone can hear all right? Okay, next question? Yes.
So at Fitzpatrick Stadium, there was some changes moving some to local logoing there. Is there a plan to return that logoing for like the Portland Bulldogs there?
Yeah, I think if you look at Fitzpatrick today on a non-Hearts match day, we've put up signage that says home of the Bulldogs. There's a large bulldog, just like there was before, that's on the track and not on the field. I think over the next few years, there's certainly opportunities for exploring whether Bulldog should be painted again on the field or not. But you know, for decades prior to the last 8 to 10 years or so, prior to that version of the turf, there hadn't been. So I think that's up for the city to decide, and we're certainly here to support whatever the city wants to do on that.
Yeah.
What is your plan for getting the financing together? Are you already talking to banks and others? And how will you tackle the traffic issue?
Yeah, I can take the financing piece of that and let this guy handle the traffic. We're you know, fortunate to be in the situation that we are. You know, one of the darlings of U.S. soccer, and to have that position so early on into our tenure is not something we take lightly. For us, it's really about finding the right financing partners, both from the private debt and equity side. We've had many conversations. We'll continue to have those conversations. But ultimately, it's with the long-term interests of this club and this site in mind. There's a lot of different ways to raise money for stadiums in sports finance, but you know, for us, we want to make sure we don't overbuild, we don't go beyond our means, and make sure that we're being reasonable with the private funding that we're putting to place here.
Yeah, on traffic, you know, the regulatory process requires both at the city and the state Maine Department of Transportation level us to get a traffic movement permit. So we've hired traffic engineers. We're going to be partnering with neighboring landowners to provide parking. We're going to hopefully be partnering with GP Metro, some of the bike ped organizations, and lean into those modalities. But there will be a very public process about traffic and parking, and the onus will be on us to demonstrate to the regulators that we've created a viable plan.
Yes, you.
Yes, so with ProRail coming to the USL in just a couple of years, how does this new stadium kind of play into the club's plans with that coming?
Yeah, I'll take that one. You guys can't hear me though, can you? No? Is that better? Great question. Yeah, I think certainly sets us up well for that future possibility. A lot to be excited about. For those that don't know, promotion relegation is this meritocratic system that exists around the world where you can go up in levels as you have success on the pitch and vice versa. You know, with that sort of jeopardy as, you know, if you don't have a good season. The USL has announced their intentions to create pathways for promotion and relegation in this country, which is very exciting. It's years away, and there's lots of work that has to be done. But I think certainly, you know, this size facility, this level of investment, the aspirations that this club has, and where we see ourselves competing in the American soccer landscape is at those highest levels.
Yes, you in pink.
Does Portland need two stadiums? And by that I mean, could the high school games be migrated here and the Fitzy site be used for something else?
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think would defer a little bit to the city in terms of what their goals are for the uses. In terms of recreational space, I think there's a huge need. Fitzpatrick as it is, we're effectively a rental tenant that gets 20 games a year. And I was over this morning letting the boys know about the press conference and just sort of wanting them to hear it from me. And there's 10 people running there on the track and 6 people on the turf field. We're scheduled to go out and practice. So I think one of the things that is exciting for me, and we mentioned a little bit about the high school's use and the school's use, but to then sort of open back up the level of use in which we are taking, I think is incredibly advantageous for the city and for the area. And then not to mention, I think the extra use outside of our own use at a facility like this.
Let's take one from this side. You in the Navy in the back. The question was if there's a laid out plan for the coal pile.
Yeah, that's really a question for Sprague Energy, but the new city ordinance requires the coal pile to be fully covered by 2027, which means a structure over it, which I think is unlikely, or fully removed by 2030. So our understanding is that Sprague is in the process of carting that coal off-site.
Michigan.
This is for Kevin and Gabe. Kevin, you talked about how this opens up opportunities for the women's team coming up. I was hoping we would kind of elaborate on that and just what this could do to raise the profile, help recruiting players to have this stadium, and what this could do for the women's team coming up.
Yeah, I think from an operational perspective, having our own facility is going to allow for better amenities, a purpose-built locker room for the women's team, separate from the one that's purpose-built for the men's team. Really gives us a lot of things that we can do to make sure that we can build a professional environment. Gives us a chance to try again on the new speaker system that we just put into Fitzpatrick.
Check.
But yeah, for the growth of the women's game right now, the USLW League is a perfect fit for us as we get off the ground. But certainly, Gabe can talk about this a little bit more. The aspiration is so much more, and that's very difficult to do at Fitzpatrick right now. We were fortunate to be able to get approval for the 5 to 6 home games that we need for the next couple of years, but as we grow, if we were to have a professional women's team, we would need so many more dates than that, and practice time and all of those things. So certainly from an operational perspective, we're excited about what it offers us the possibility to do, not just for the men's team, as you talked about with the Pro Rel, but also with the women's team and any youth and academy initiatives that we want to do as well.
Yeah, I think the pieces that I'll add, yeah, it's working. As we announced the season ticket deposits for the women's team, I tend to have lofty expectations for everything that we're doing, and it blew that away, right? I think we did 5,000 deposits in about 45 minutes, and could have kept going, right? So these early indications of selling out that facility, the amount of demand, you can look across this country, around the world, in terms of the growth of women's sports, and for us, that's always been a part of the plan. So actually, for the women's team, I think we're kind of getting ahead of this, sort of scarcity and demand and lack of accessibility, for that program as well. To your question on sort of the recruitment pieces and all of that, yeah, I think I've long envisioned this club, setting this new benchmark for what lower division soccer can be, or the way I frame it to some people, if you know soccer, if you know this game, if you're talking to an American soccer fan and you're talking about what are the best clubs in this country, I want to be one of the first 3 clubs out of their mouth, right? And I think that this market can do that. I think this club can do that, and this site really elevates us and allows us to build what I think is the gold standard of American soccer.
Maybe we should try to be 2 out of the top 3.
Yeah.
Let's say Seth.
Congratulations. There's beautiful stadiums that are popping up all throughout the country at various levels. Did you take design cues at all from those other stadiums? And in particular, what can fans expect the experience to be different at this new stadium?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with SMRT, great local architecture and design firm, on the conceptual renderings that you've been able to see here and see in the paper. But this is still early. We want fans to give us their design inspirations and their design cues. You know, we've got our own, but being able to sort of crowdsource some of those ideas, I think, is what's going to make this special and make it, you know, really community built. We don't really want to copy what others are doing. As a general rule, Gabe doesn't really let us do that. But certainly there are some cues to take from others and some things we can do. I think, you know, the magic that we've got at Fitzpatrick Stadium with the energy that people put into that place, it's a good facility, but it's you know, lacking certain elements, and people don't care. You know, people love that place, and people love being there and watching our games there. And you know, that's a great reminder for us as we go through this, that it's not about some of the creature comforts and amenities. It's really about how do you give people a chance to walk around and mingle and see people they know and be able to see the field from different vantage points and interact with the space around them. So much of that is really what we're trying to accomplish here. And you know, we right now are doing it better than most. So you know, why mess with a good thing?
Yes.
So you have a pretty huge wait list of people wanting to be season ticket holders, people wanting to go to these games. Do you expect this ratio of season tickets to be open tickets to change with this new stadium?
Great question. I think anything related to ticketing is still to be determined over the next couple of years. I think certainly one of the goals of building the new stadium is to allow more people to come in throughout the year. So we'll have to balance making sure we can get some people off that season ticket wait list with the, you know, intense need for new people to be able to come check out the games. So I would expect the percentage of season tickets as a percentage of capacity to go down and allow people to fly in and come see our games. If anybody from Delta is watching, let's talk partnerships. But yeah, I think being able to satisfy that demand, we hear from people all over the country that want to come here, and people do. But you know, some of those prices on StubHub are lofty at times, and being able to satisfy all the demand is going to require making sure we're thoughtful about that as we plan out the ticketing process for the new stadium.
Yes.
You said that this has been a site for fossil fuel storage for a good 100 years. Looking at the full power right now, do you envision environmental testing or cleanup as part of the process of getting this built?
Yeah, our intention is to file for a voluntary response action plan with the state. I don't want to get too detailed into sort of environmental law, but we're certainly committed to environmental compliance, and our environmental engineers are here, Jed Steinglass, and our environmental attorney is here today. So we've got the right team together to make sure that we're complying with all appropriate regulations and ordinances.
Yes.
I think you explained during your prepared remarks why 9,000 to 11,000 is the right size stadium right now. We've heard other teams around the country build stadiums around that same size with the vision of expanding in the future. What's kind of the Heart's view on this site in terms of expansion in the future? Is that something you're kind of tracking and looking at?
Yeah, I think, you know, certainly open to it, right? And that's part of the reason why we have this range. I think there's more work to be done in terms of what exactly that right number is. But yes, I think we don't want to overbuild, you know, to have something that's right size for this market. And, you know, I think one of the worst things we could do is, you know, if we get too high and, yeah, maybe we sell it out for a year, but then the attendance starts to dwindle and you lose the magic of what's going on. You know, so Kevin's point on, you know, that ratio of season tickets and, you know, single games and mini plans and all that's going to be incredibly important to get right. You know, I don't think we want to put a ceiling on where this can go long term, right? You know, if the demand is there, you know, we'll certainly consider it. But yeah, is there a way to, you know, design a 10,000 seat stadium that can get to, you know, 12 in the future? Sure. But I think for now, we're focused on getting there and feel like that's the right range to be focused on.
Yes. The question was about envisioning concerts and additional activities at the stadium.
Yeah, great question. Certainly, we're soccer experts. We're not we're not concert people, and we've seen plenty of our peers in the soccer landscape. Talk about the other events at their stadiums, but at the end of the day, it's so much about the soccer. There's so much demand for soccer. We've got experts here in town at Thompson's Point and at the State Theater who know how to put on good shows, and so I think, as we evaluate the future needs, we're certainly open to it. We want to hear what the community has to say. We want to understand if there's any possibility of that in the future. But Rhode Island, for example, built a stadium and has been open for a couple years, and I think they're just now testing out 1 or 2 concerts a year. So it's never going to be a major part of our consideration. It is something that we should probably look at. But we've got so much to do to figure out the soccer side of this that we really haven't spent any time on that. Mostly because it's also very expensive to do anything with a venue to be able to make it truly concert ready. So I suppose more to evaluate as we go through the future, but definitely not something we're thinking about right now.
Yes.
Two-parter. Too early to have a stadium name. How you decide the stadium name, and then I guess you're just ahead of schedule. I know that this is part of the plan. What were those meetings like in October when you're putting this together and saying this could happen sooner than we thought? I just didn't know if you could talk a little bit more through those October discussions about it coming together quickly.
Yeah, I mean, put ourselves back in October. We were in the middle of a playoff run and really focused on making the semifinals and all of the good things that came from that. And so at the time, I was like, Jonathan, can you just let us get through this first year for crying out loud? But no, we're dreaming big, and certainly is something that the people and the community support and the demand sort of pushed us so far into that we really owed it to everybody to be able to find a way to let more people into that building. So that's really what kind of drove the consideration. We like Fitzpatrick Stadium. We have a 13 more year runway there if we want, but the ability to build a bigger home and to control more dates of the year does allow us to grow in the way that I think our fans are looking for.
I'll just add one thing to that, which is we weren't certain that we would find a site that was suitable and viable, and we weren't willing to sort of sell our soul and move to the main mall. So we feel fortunate that this site came along, but it was an entirely possible scenario for us that it was going to take years to find the right place to build the stadium. Again, we're lucky to be here today.
Was the main mall an option?
No comment.
And stadium name and how you come together with that?
Yeah, on stadium name, we're nowhere near that part of the process yet. We'll certainly have to make sure that we do the right thing to envision what's on this site and what this property is and what more than a stadium might it be. And of course, as is typical with most sports stadiums, you engage corporate partners and that becomes a part of it at some point too. So more to come as we figure out what the whole complex and the site involve. Not really a top priority right now on the name.
Yes.
We'd like to, but it's just too early. We're right now sitting down with our engineers, and we're going to engage with the city, and we're going to understand what public infrastructure improvements need to happen to make this a safe and healthy place to come and attend a game. And certainly, if you came down here, the roads and sidewalks coming down to this site will need some improvements. And so those are the types of conversations that we're going to have with city, county, and state.
Going back to the women's team, there's always a question when a team gets started: how is this team going to do? How is the first year going to do? The fact that they're going to be moving to the stadium after only a couple of years of playing, how much does that ensure that it'll be a strong start, for that team from a generating support and community standpoint? Or is those numbers that you mentioned, does that kind of show that support was going to be there?
I mean, yeah, I think in general, I kind of think the support's going to be there, right? But certainly it helps, right? When you're talking about, soccer's a small world, small community. When these players that are contemplating playing here or elsewhere, there's sort of, yes, there's this global market for players, but there's a strong domestic cohort across this league. We only allowed 7 international spots on our roster. So as you're imagining recruiting a player for either team, I think this is certainly something that would be exciting and compelling. But again, I think what we have proven, and back to Fitzpatrick and what we love about it, I think we've proven the demand is there, and this is sort of that next evolution, so that more people can enjoy it.
Yes. Yep. You in the main jersey.
Very early, do we know, are there any plans for it to be natural grass?
I think it's early. I do think it's difficult, to have natural grass. It's expensive. Certainly we'll look at it. I'm a former player, and I love playing on grass much more than turf. But there are certain realities in which operating a club in Portland, Maine will require. Even down to, one of the benefits, we struggled to even turn the water on at our own locker rooms at Fitzpatrick this spring for preseason. I was out in the field shoveling snow off of the field 3 days before the team was supposed to use it, right? So those types of things are going to continue to happen. That's not going to change. But yeah, we'll look at it, as we get closer.
We have time for about 2 more questions. Kurt?
Yeah, no, so the current plans are for this building back here to be indoor soccer, with some other additional uses perhaps. Yeah, I think the goal there is it's community soccer. I think when the men's team and future women's team needs to be able to be in there and practice, absolutely. But what it does open up is another place for kids to play. So I think a lot to like there, and Kurt, you would well know the demand for field space, especially in those winter months, is quite large. Yeah, you won't have to be playing men's league at 10 p.m. Well, maybe you still will.
All right, we have time for one more. Anybody have one more? Okay, perfect.
Just in terms of next steps, when can fans and other stakeholders expect those feedback and town hall sessions to kind of kick off?
I have no doubt you're about to start that in about 2 minutes. But we actually we have an email address that is available that I'm going to let Lisa say so that I don't mess it up.
CassidyPoint@heartsofpine.com.
There you go. CassidyPoint@heartsofpine.com. Please, any thoughts, questions, suggestions can start flowing there. But as you see us at the matches, as you see us at the town halls we set up, any other forum is welcome as well. Message flying behind a plane that you want to fly over the head, maybe not so much, but otherwise we look forward to it.
When we first talked about where to do this press conference, there were many options because we didn't really know what we wanted. But the 2 things that always stand out with this club are authentic and community. And we felt what would be more authentic than to bring you to the site itself so you can experience it. So in that vein, we're very excited to have our new neighbors from the Clam Bar here with clams, which I believe is the main equivalent of a welcome basket. They have them here for you, and that's also a tradition we have at Fitzy, doing oyster shots. We wanted to bring a little bit of Fitzpatrick Stadium here for this morning, so I hope you'll enjoy those on your way out. I also want to take a moment to thank our friends from Sprague who worked with us to set this up. As we mentioned, this is a working work site, and there are planes, trains, automobiles, very large trucks, and boats. So we want to make sure that you stay safe and find the staff members who are here, who are located in the back, to escort you around the property. And just a reminder, this is an announcement today that is really about our long-term vision. There's a lot of work we still have ahead, and we're going to continue to share updates with the community as we have so far through the town halls. We just shared the email address, and we'll have a lot more opportunities to share as the project continues. It's a moment that is very special, I think, for us as a club, and to really start envisioning the next chapter. And we're very grateful that you all took time out of your day to join us here. Thank you again to all of our elected officials who were able to make it here, members of the press, and to the Hearts of Pine staff who have been transforming this parking lot, which had a swimming pool in the middle, into a spot where we could celebrate this morning, at least what can be. So thank you very much for coming, and please have some oysters, and please take some time to mill about the property within the safe zones. Thank you.